Kuzizampo. Welcome to Bhutan e-learning project. I am Benita Chetri with English lesson Key Stage 3 and this is my third lesson. Today's topic is a narrative essay. The objectives for the lesson are: explain the difference between a short story and a narrative essay. Second one, write a narrative essay including its features. Let's define the term essay. A short form of literary composition based on a single subject matter. So the essay in general confines itself to a single subject matter or a single concept. Do you know that there are different types of essays? Yes, you do, right? What are the four major types of essay? Can you name them? Well, you must have been able to name. The first one, narrative essay. Let's quickly try and use some keywords so that we remember each of this essay. Narrative essay. Narrates, tells. So therefore, the keyword for this narrative essay would be tells a story. Second one, descriptive essay. Descriptive essay includes every detail to enhance the understanding of the reader. So every particular detail is put into words so that the reader can picture it. Therefore, the key word for descriptive essay would be paint a picture. Third one, expository essay. Explains, defines. So therefore, the key word for expository essay would be define and explain with fact. So, just the fact. Now, finally, persuasive essay. Persuasive essay presents a point to persuade or convince. Therefore, the key term would be convince me. So, those were the four major types of essay. But for us, our topic for the day is narrative essay. Let's try define in simple words what is a narrative essay. Well then, let's look into what narrative essay is in detail. Narrative essay tells a story about specific event or experience. It gives a clear point of view on the subject, most often of the author. It often uses descriptive and sensory information. It revolves around one motive or central theme. It is often subjective than objective. Now, what do you mean by subjective and objective? As stated above, it's subjective because it deals or revolves around our experiences, one's personal opinion. If it is subjective, it deals with facts. Therefore, narrative essays are subjective, our opinion and our experiences. Well, now let's look into the features of narrative essay. Whenever we write a narrative essay, we need some guidelines, we need some rules, we need some aspects so that we are able to write very effective narrative essay. Now, what are these key features? Narratives rely on concrete sensory details to convey their points. Concrete, tangible, sensory, that includes our 5 senses. These details should create unified oneness, unified, forceful, very strong effects, results, and a dominant impression. Should leave a very powerful impression. Second, it should be logical, which means chronological order. So basically, we can use or follow the chronological order in order to sequence narrative essay. Though there are other techniques though, but the simple one is following chronological order. Third one, it should have an appropriate and consistent point of view. Generally, Narratives follow the first person and third person narratives. Next one. Narratives, like in stories, include these aspects or conventions of stories, just like plot, including the setting, characters, climax, ending, or resolution. So these are the features of narrative essay. And finally, we do have dialogues. You may write dialogues if you would like to do so. This can overall make up the features of narrative essay. Having looked at the features of narrative essay, let me take you through the parts of narrative essay. Just like any other essay, narrative essay also has 3 parts. Do you know what are they? Of course you do, right? Let's look at them one by one. The first one, introduction. Introduction, as you know, it is the first paragraph of your essay. It describes the setting. Now, when you talk about setting or when you write setting, you must include the details like where and when. Where specifies the place. It could be a very big town, city, country, or a very small village or at your school. When specifies time, as you know. When? Last year, or you can have a particular year. You may have season, you may have include the months of the year, you may also have days of the week, or you can even include like time of the day, early in the morning, 6 o'clock. So these are small details that you can include under settings. Next, characters are introduced in the introduction part of your essay. The major characters. If you have a lot of characters, you may do that slowly, but the major characters are introduced in the introduction part of the essay. Opens the situation. What is the essay about? The event, the experience that you are talking about. So you may have the key point in your introduction as well. Finally, it should be able to grab the reader's attention. The sentence should be powerful or strong enough that builds a curiosity in readers wanting to know more. These are the things that you must include in your introduction. There are 2 examples. Let me read the first one for you. I had never been more anxious in my life. I had just spent the last 3 endless hours trying to get to the airport so that I could travel home. This is the sentence that grabs the reader's attention, that creates a curiosity to the readers. Why? The reader wants to know more. What happened to the narrator? Now, in order to be on track, you may ask the following questions to yourself. Why was the event or experience so important or memorable? If you're writing about your experience or memorable thing or a day. So you may ask that, did I include that? Why and how were you involved? Are you writing about yourself? Are you involved there in the event or the experience? How did you feel about the event or experience? You may just have a small detail about your feeling. This means the mood. Now let's move on to the second one, that is body paragraph. Body paragraph contains most of the plot, story, supporting ideas, details, and examples. Now, when you write the supporting details and examples, how do you do that? It has to be organized. The action needs to be well sequenced, which means again the word chronological order comes here. So you may use the words like first, next, later. If you are using this way, you are using chronological order in terms of words. You may also use transitional words and phrases in order to connect each sentence or link each sentence to idea. Now let's look at some examples of transitional words and phrases. In the body paragraph, you may include sensory and descriptive details As we already talked about sensory details, what are these? The five senses. Now, how do you include or write these five senses in your essay? Let's look at it with the help of examples. The first one, sight. Something that you see. Example here. Flash of lights in the night sky. The moment you hear this, you are able to have a picture in your mind. Similarly, sound. When you talk about sound, wind swirls around our beach house, whistling loudly to a terrible tune. When you read that, you're able to get the feeling of the wind. You're able to have that again picture. Next, smell. Sweet aroma of baking bread wafted around the room. Similarly, cinnamon scented candle. So you get those feelings. So when you are writing the sensory details, you must be able to build a picture in the reader's mind. Next, touch. The chilly wind hit his cheeks like 1,000 needle pricks. So touch, feeling. You can even feel that when you read that sentence. Okay, the next one, taste. Example, tall frosted glass of sweet yet bitter lemonade. Can you get the taste? Bitter lemonade? Yes, you do, right? Then, in order to keep yourself in track, again, you have some questions to consider. You can ask this to yourself. What happened during the event or experience? If you are writing about an event, an experience, what happened? What is the major key idea that you wanted to write about? Is it there? Was there a climax or a dramatic moment? What was there? How did you feel during the event or experience? Was the event wonderful or was the event unforgettable? So you can include your feelings there. So if you ask these questions, you will be able to have yourself in track. Finally, moving on to the last one, that is conclusion. In the conclusion, indicate the significance of plot. Write about the importance of the story. If you're writing about story, event, if that is an event, or if it is an experience, do write that again. Reflect resolution. If there were some problems in the story, mention the resolution. How was the problem solved? That has to be included here. You may include predictions or revelation. Predictions, how I wish the COVID-19 ends soon. Prediction. Revelation, if there were some points that you did not disclose in the body paragraph, now it's the right time. You disclose that, the secret. Then, in order, again, to keep ourselves in line, ask these questions. What was the result or the conclusion? The overall result, the inferences or the conclusion of the event or your experience. How did you feel after the event or experience? Your own opinion. How did you feel? Happy, sad, satisfied, mesmerized? Your feeling. Did you learn anything from the experience that you just had? Or you did not learn any. So if you have, do mention in the conclusion. That was the 3 parts of narrative essay. I'm sure you are all with me till now. Okay. Often we consider narrative essay and short story very similar. We find it very same because it has some aspects, some features in common. Yet, short stories and narrative essays are different genres. Therefore, let's look at the differences between a short story and a narrative essay. Please have a look at it. In a narrative essay, you will use facts to tell the story, typically relying on your own memory or experience. While, on the other hand, short story, You will make up the content, creating characters and events that suit the story. So you can have your own characters, you can have your own setting, you can create the story yourself. Narrative essay uses the first person and third person, while short story uses all three, the first, second, and the third person narratives. So these were the two differences between a narrative essay and a short story. Let's look into the sample narrative essay titled The Rescue. At the beginning, you can see a sentence in bold, followed by sub-sentences highlighted in red, finally a sentence that is underlined. All these sentences show the features of narrative essay. Let's identify all of this. The first one in bold is a sentence that grabs the attention of the reader. It makes the reader wanting to read more, wanting to know more about the two boys. In the first paragraph, you can also see the setting, that is in the village. You can also see the time, Sunday morning. You can also see the characters introduced, Pema and Mintu. Going on to the sentence that is highlighted in red, those are the sentences or the features that include the dialogues in a narrative essay. So we did say that narrative essay includes dialogues. We also have the linking phrase that is unable to move. He was forced to wait. So that unable to move, he was forced to wait. It connects the sentence or links the sentence. Coming to the sentence that is underlined, final one, let's read the last one. They both vowed never to go walking in the mountain again. So it says there is a lesson learned in the narrative essay. So the closing or the you can also see in the conclusion, if you read carefully, you'll see a resolution there. Also a lesson that is learned by the narrator. So this all sums up a narrative essay. Now the last point of the lesson, assessment. Write a narrative essay of about 350 words on any one of the following topics, including the features of narrative essay. So you may choose one from there. Thank you for attending my lesson. Stay home, stay safe.